girls! Miss Kori and Miss Melissa are here today to read the Elves and the Shoemaker with you. When you hear this sound, that's how you'll know it's time to turn the page. So let's get started. Once upon a time, there was an old shoemaker and his wife who were good, honest people. They worked very hard. The shoemaker made sturdy shoes for walking, fancy shoes for dancing, and heavy boots for working. He always used the very best leather. He cut it carefully, stitched the pieces together with strong thread, then hammered the heel on firmly. Because the shoemaker worked so carefully, he could not make many shoes to sell. So he and his wife were poor. One night, the shoemaker said to his wife, "Well, my good wife, I have only enough leather to make one more pair of shoes, and when that is gone, we will have nothing." "We will still have each other, and we will still have our shop," said his wife. "Do not fear, everything will be all right." His wife's words cheered the old man. So he cut the leather and got everything ready to make the shoes the next day. Then he went to bed. In the morning, when he sat down to work, the shoemaker could hardly believe his eyes. Someone had done his work for him. Someone had made a perfect pair of fancy shoes out of the leather he had cut. The stitches were so tiny they could hardly be seen at all. The heels were hammered on so well they would never fall off. While the shoemaker and his wife were trying to figure out who could have made the shoes, a customer walked in. She was so pleased with the perfect shoes that she paid more than the usual price for them. So now the old shoemaker had enough money to buy leather for 2 pairs of shoes. That evening he cut the leather and put everything out on the work table to make the shoes the next day. Then he went to bed. In the morning, when the shoemaker went to work, what was on the work table? Instead of the pieces of leather, there were 2 pairs of perfect shoes. Once again, someone had finished the work. And this time, 2 customers gladly paid high prices for the shoes. And now the shoemaker had enough money to buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. Every night for quite a while, the same amazing thing happened. Whatever work the shoemaker left at night was done for him by morning. And soon, the shoemaker and his wife had more customers than ever before. One night, the shoemaker said to his wife, "Let's get up tonight and see who's been doing my work for me." His wife agreed. They hid behind a door and waited. Just at midnight, 3 elves appeared. Although they were dressed in rags, the elves looked merry. Quick as a wink, they sat down at the shoemaker's table and stitched up all the leather into perfect shoes. When the elves were finished, they tidied up the work table and then they skipped away into the night. The shoemaker's wife said to the shoemaker, "Those elves have made us comfortable and happy, my dear. We should thank them. Why don't you make them some shoes, and I'll make each of them a hat, a coat, and trousers." The shoemaker was very pleased with his wife's idea, so they set to work. The shoemaker's wife made 3 little hats in different colors, 3 warm coats with shiny buttons, and 3 pairs of trousers. The shoemaker made 3 pairs of tidy shoes and polished them until they glowed. That night, instead of leather, they left the presents on the work table. The shoemaker and his wife hid again to see what the elves would do. Just as the clock struck 12, in came the 3 elves. They sat down at the work table and got ready to work. Then they spotted the clothes and the shoes. They laughed and clapped and tickled each other. They oohed and ahed over all the lovely clothes. Each elf put on a new outfit and strutted around the room to show the other 2 how he looked. Then they danced and sang merrily all around the work table, all around the shop, and out the door into the night. The old shoemaker and his wife never saw the elves again. Perhaps the elves were busy helping another shoemaker. But the old shoemaker and his good wife never forgot the elves who helped them, and they lived happily ever after. Thank you for reading this with us today. Bye.